Hey, Al, I wanted to talk about I quit my life 3 years ago to live in an RV full time and how I'm doing now. It's been 3 years. It's kind of crazy, almost exactly 3 years. Um, so let me just tell you the story. I had this traumatic ski accident. I talk about it in my book, Your Radical Living Challenge: 7 Questions for a Meaningful Life. Get your copy. But I was skiing down that mountain, and I just thought about this while I was doing like a media interview for my book about how two things happened in that ski accident. One is that I had a moment to make another choice because my friend in the orange neon jacket was like, "Come on this way." We were skiing together. And I felt really confident. I had new ski boots on. It was a beautiful day. It was girls' day skiing. And I had that thought of like, should I? And then I just didn't listen to myself. And I went down that mountain. I ended up falling and breaking 7 bones in my sacrum. But the other thing is that that was a metaphor for me, sort of like also just racing through life, like just going so fast, so focused on more money, more status, more wealth, more vacations, more houses, more, I don't know. I just felt like that bigger was better, right? And I think this is interesting too. Like when I had a vision for creating my business, 16 years ago, I was a nursery school teacher. I had zero experience being a CEO, really. I had a small copywriting business in my 20s where I worked for trade associations. But then I stopped and I got married to my first husband and I had kids and everything. And so I was a nursery school teacher, like in my late 30s. And I just thought, like, I just set my eye on the richest, most famous transformational industry leaders. And I was like, well, I guess I want a company like that. I literally never thought like, what would that lifestyle be like? It was just like, I want to earn money and I want to be famous, and that's it, which is kind of embarrassing. And I compared myself to everyone. And so maybe you can relate in your own industry or your own life. But like, I was just like, they're richer, they're better, they have more. Like, what's wrong with me? And I kept striving and building, and I did create success and I did create impact, and I touched so many lives, and I'm so, 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 so grateful. However, I became so entrenched in holding on to all those external things that I thought that was where my security was coming from. My house, my business, even people that worked for me. And I didn't want anything to change, but life was changing. My kids were growing up. Business was changing. My love of that part of my business was waning massively. And I kept talking to people and they'd be like, well, do you love what you do? And I'd be like, no, but I just, at this point, this age, I have to just carry on. That, and then when I had that ski accident, that's when I sort of realized like the paradigm of success that I had was no longer fulfilling, and that I just didn't know where to go with that. And that is when I found these 7 spiritual questions that I will talk about on this channel. I'm going to do a breakdown of them. They're in my book. I was like, what would it look like if I oriented a meaningful life and success based on these parameters? That's been my life's mission for the last 5 years. So, sold the house, sold most of our stuff, got rid of most of our stuff, put some stuff in storage. That's something I'm also going to talk about in this channel because I have a lot of stuff in storage and I'm terrified to get rid of it. But we decided to live in an RV. And that decision came as a result of this life design framework, and we experimented in lots of different kinds of RVs for different amounts of time. We ended up choosing a motorhome, basically a 40-foot vehicle. We got a Jeep, we towed it. We lived in that for a year. That's also the story of my book, about how that was the transformation. Really was the whole process has transformed me and my life. So I ended up coming up with the idea to write the book from the life design process that I teach, right? So that idea came from that ideation that's part of the book. I walk you through it in the book. And I sold that book to a Big 5 publisher, which was like something I'd been trying to do for 15 years and been rejected over 1,000 times. And wrote that book. And as part of the RV experiment, we ended up in this town, Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We had an amazing weekend, and we'd been developing criteria for where we wanted to live that was also part of this process that I teach. And we had that criteria, and we just walked through the streets. We had this experience of like, holy crap, this feels right. And it was a really big decision after a year to leave the RV and sell it, because I thought we were going to live in that thing for like a couple of years at least, and settle here and begin a new set of experiments about like, do we really want to commit to living here? And we're still in that process. So where am I now? So I blew up my business along the way because I couldn't force myself to not express the soul of my business. So I used to just do dating and relationship coaching. I still do that, but what I really help women do is reinvent and rewrite their next chapter. For some people, that's love. For some people, that's helping them retire. For some people, that is performing better in their business or creating a new business or finding a new job or a new side hustle. I got rid of my team. I cut my expenses. I got more discerning about my money. I simplified my life dramatically. And I focused on these new principles as the definition for success, which I really have focused on, which is not climbing higher, but going deeper. And so we've been living in Steamboat for about 2 years. It'll be 2 years in March. I overcame my fear of downhill skiing, and I'm skiing again a few times a week. I have made such incredible friends, some of them who might be watching this. Like I used to work really hard, be wasted, and just watch TV at night. And now I'm like, I have a mentee that I'm seeing once a week who's 13, who's amazing because I realized that I missed having kids. I've got a group of women that I'm playing like mahjong with, and I don't feel 107 in saying that. It's so fun. I'm meeting friends and girlfriends for dinner. My husband and I are like social on the weekends and doing things that we really love. We are spending so much time outdoors. We're sharing life and doing life with people. The other day, one of my friends, I asked her to pick me up at the airport because my husband had to work. I never would have had anyone in my life in LA that I even felt like I could do that would say yes, because that's like such a big ask. And like having that kind of friendship is really powerful for me at this point in my life. Making new friends is hard in midlife, but not when your soul is aligned and you're in the right community with the right tribe. And I have had amazing experiences with my kids. I see them a lot. It was really scary to leave, where they grew up. One of them did come back. And I had a little bit of regret and confusion about that, but now I don't. So what I want to share here is that this life that I have now, I'm loving it. It's not perfect. I talked about that in another video about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you can watch it here somewhere. Can you tell I'm like not a YouTuber? A fish, I am, but like no. But what's really cool is that whether you call it manifesting, or creating, or architecting, or designing, it's all very clear, and it's coming from the expression of the one and only soul that is Marnie Batista. So that everything feels super amplified. There's lots of joy. I always imagined waking up in the morning and throwing open the curtains and being like, I love my life. And even when things are hard, I open the curtains and I look out and I see the mountains and I take in the beauty and I think, wow, those things that were experiences that I only had on vacation every once in a while in my life are now my daily life. And so that is what's going on now. 3 years in from the big change, and I would say 8 years in from really crafting a vision for my life at 50 and now being 58. So what are your dreams? What would you change? What terrifies you? What questions you have for me? Leave them in the comments. Thanks for being here. Subscribe, share this with your friends, and all the stuff that young people say.